Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of The Daily presented by EA Sports FIFA 12. It's Friday, September 23rd. Here with Jason Seguini, I'm Nick Fershaw. Jay, let's look at some of the biggest games on the MLS slate this weekend, starting with a good one on Friday night. Sporting Kansas City at home against the Philadelphia Union, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. That's on Fox Soccer. You can get a live chat right here on MLSsoccer.com. Jay, a big game for the Eastern Conference. There's a lot at stake for both these teams.
Yeah, a win for either team, and they're in first place in the Eastern Conference. It's very tight in the East, so any points count. This is one of those 6-pointers that you say. For Philadelphia, Sheenan Williams is out. They also, remember, have Zach McMath in goal, so it doesn't really bode well for them, I think, going into Kansas City, where Kansas City plays a very high-pressure game. Not having all your pieces together is going to hurt them. We'll see if Kansas City can take advantage of it and get the points and move into first place.
Certainly a big game for both of these teams. You mentioned it, Jay. A win for either one of these clubs, and they're going to take that Eastern Conference lead into the weekend. Big game out in Texas. FC Dallas at home against the Houston Dynamo, 4 p.m. Eastern on Telefortura. Jay, FC Dallas, an MLS Cup hopeful most of the season, but one win in their last 5 games. What are the storylines around this one?
Well, Marvin Chavez still out for them, and you see how important he and Brek Shea have been to this team's offense. With Marvin Chavez out, and of course they just had Brek Shea come back from injury, they struggled offensively. We'll see if they can kind of get into a rhythm with Shea back, without Chavez. We'll see how that goes. Last time these teams played, it was a 2-2 game. Usually very exciting when these two rivals get on the field. And remember, if this game tonight, if the Friday night game ends in a draw, Houston with a win could move into first place in the Eastern Conference also. That's how close it all is.
Yeah, a lot of movement in the Eastern Conference potentially this weekend. And there's also some potentially with DC United. They're at home against Real Salt Lake on Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. You can follow along on Matchday Live. Jay, DC United struggling a little bit to gain some ground after that big win over Chivas USA a while back, and they're at home against a very good Real Salt Lake team. 5 straight wins for Jason Kreis's group.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't get any easier for DC United taking on a Real Salt Lake team that's really on fire. And remember, in the midweek, they didn't even have Kyle Beckerman on their team. They get Kyle Beckerman back for this game. Both these teams really jostling for playoff position, and Clyde Sims came out and said, I don't want to hear anything about the playoffs. We should not be talking about the playoffs. We need to just go game by game, do our best in this game, and hopefully DC can get something together in front of the home fans this weekend.
Well, if you're a Real Salt Lake fan, keep an eye peeled for the potential return of Javier Morales, the playmaker who's been out since May with that ankle injury. We found out this week he's actually medically cleared to play against DC United. We'll have to see if Jason Kreis uses him at all on Saturday night. We've talked about the Eastern Conference, Jay, and how tight it is. Well, the Columbus Crew, they're the ones with the lead at 41 points. They're up at home against the LA Galaxy, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Matchday Live. Winless in their last 4, Jay. What happens to the Crew on Saturday?
This is a huge opportunity for the Columbus Crew going up against the league leaders, really make a statement and get out of this funk that they've been in the last couple of weeks. Remember, LA Galaxy, a little bit tired coming from Costa Rica. They had a midweek Champions League game, so they could see some changeover in the lineup. We spoke to Robbie Rogers yesterday on Extra Time Radio, and he even said, no matter what lineup LA throws out there, it doesn't matter to us. We need to do the job. We need to get the points in front of our home fans. And really, Columbus is just, they're trying to keep pace with the rest of the Eastern Conference. All those teams are so close, but if Columbus wins, they guarantee that they'll leave the weekend in first place in the East.
And last but not least, a big game for that 10th and final playoff spot. The New York Red Bulls at home against the Portland Timbers, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Matchday Live. Jay, the New York Red Bulls have been in the headlines all week, especially after that meltdown against Real Salt Lake. How are they going to put it back together if they hope to get a win over Portland?
It's really the cohesion in the back line that hasn't been there all season, and the Rafa Marquez comments just make it worse. So you look for Portland to come in and try to take advantage of a New York team that's really shaken up right now. Portland with some momentum, they just moved into the 10th spot in the playoffs. The winner of this game is a huge swing because either the Red Bulls move 2 points up on Portland for that 10th spot, or Portland creates a 4-point gap between them and the Red Bulls, and they're really looking good in terms of making the playoffs.
Couple things before we go. We also wanted to mention the 24 under 24 series, exclusive to MLSsoccer.com, wraps up here on Friday with the top player under the age of 24. It's been a good series so far. We've seen a lot of great talent.
Yeah, it shouldn't be any surprise of who made it to #1 on the list, especially if you've been paying attention to the rest of them. Juan Agudelo yesterday, a talent that I know a lot of people think very highly of in terms of his potential and really even where he is right now. So this #1 player, again, no surprise, but what a talent he is in Major League Soccer.
And you mentioned Robbie Rogers on the latest edition of Extra Time Radio. We also had Jeff Carlisle from ESPN.com talking about that mess with Rafa Marquez and the New York Red Bulls. And Jay DeMerit, the captain of the Vancouver Whitecaps, debuting a new segment called The Big Interview. He talked about Elton John, Brad Pitt and Xabi Alonso, a great story about getting his jersey from a big game in the Confederations Cup. You can find that on iTunes and Buzzsprout. And for all the latest headlines in MLS, log on to MLSsoccer.com.